Most people over 55 don't realize it's happening. It's not something you see in the mirror or feel when you bend down to tie your shoes. It's subtle. A scent. Faint, lingering, hard to describe. Not necessarily foul, but musty, oily, sometimes sharp. It doesn't come with a warning label or a loud alarm, and often no one says a word. They just shift slightly when they lean in or crack a window more often. You don't notice until one day maybe your partner gently mentions it. Or worse, they don't. They just pull away a little, without meaning to. Now, let me say this as clearly and kindly as I can. This isn't about dirt. It's not about laziness. And it's certainly not your fault. What I'm talking about is something deeper, more silent, and far more common than most people think. A natural biological change in the skin that happens as we age. One that even the cleanest, most fastidious person might experience, and often in a place they never think to wash. A single area that can hold on to this scent quietly, day after day. I think about Ray when I talk about this. Ray was a 67-year-old man who came into my office a few years back. Proud man, still built strong from his years driving a city bus, always wore pressed shirts and polished shoes. The kind of man who held on to his dignity with both hands. But there was something heavy in the way he spoke that day. Something he didn't know how to name. And after some small talk, he finally said it. "Doc, I think I smell bad. My wife hasn't said anything straight out, but she's been spraying the pillows, and she avoids getting too close when we hug." He looked down after saying it, like he'd admitted something shameful. But I didn't flinch, because I've heard it more times than I can count. Ray wasn't unclean. He showered daily, used soap, shampoo, even cologne some days, but something had shifted. He'd done all the usual things, switched body washes, doubled down on scrubbing under his arms, even started keeping baby wipes in the glove box of his truck. And still, there it was. A faint odor that clung to him, especially late in the day. Not strong enough to shout, but just loud enough to whisper. So I asked him a simple question. "Do you ever wash behind your ears?" He chuckled, like I was joking. "I mean, yeah, when the shampoo runs down, sure." And that's where we started. See, what most people don't realize is that our bodies don't just change visibly as we age. They change chemically. Our skin starts to produce different oils, different compounds, and these changes happen slowly. So slowly, you don't notice until something feels off. One of the main culprits is a compound called 2-non-enol. It sounds like a science experiment, but it's as real as the skin on your hands. This compound doesn't show up much in younger people, but after age 50 or so, it starts to rise. The reason? As we age, our body's antioxidant defenses weaken. Our skin oils, especially those with unsaturated fatty acids, start to oxidize. And 2-non-enol is one of the byproducts of that oxidation. Now, here's the thing. 2-non-enol has a very specific scent. It's not the classic body odor we associate with sweat and bacteria. It's more complex, waxy, greasy, even grassy or metallic to some noses. And it clings. Regular soaps often don't break it down because it binds tightly to the oils in the skin. It's like trying to rinse olive oil off a plate with cold water. You need the right approach, and more importantly, you need to know where to look. And this is where it gets interesting, because this compound doesn't show up evenly across the body. It tends to collect in places where the skin folds slightly, where circulation slows, and most importantly, where we tend to overlook. One of the most common places is right behind the ears. The crease where your earlobe meets the side of your head, the base of the skull, the nape of your neck. These are not the areas we're taught to scrub. We're taught to focus on the obvious: armpits, groin, feet. But those behind the ear zones? They're like forgotten corners of an old room, places where dust gathers, unnoticed, until someone leans close. I've had so many men come to me after hearing this and say, "I never would have guessed. I mean, I rinse there. Isn't that enough?" But rinsing isn't scrubbing. And scrubbing doesn't have to mean harsh or rough. It just means intentional. See, the skin behind the ears is thinner. It's delicate. But it also has sebaceous glands, those little oil producers, that remain active long after we've stopped sweating like teenagers. And in the absence of heavy sweat, those oils oxidize quietly, day after day. They linger. And over time, the scent builds. It's not about neglect, it's about awareness. Ray wasn't dirty. He was just missing a single step in his routine that no one ever told him about, because no one talks about it. Most commercials focus on fresh scents, not the biology of aging skin. Most doctors don't bring it up unless a patient mentions it directly. And most people suffer through it in silence, thinking it's just part of getting old. But here's the truth. Yes, the body changes with age. Yes, the skin evolves. But these aren't signs of decay. They're signs of transformation. And transformation can be understood, supported, and cared for. You just have to know how. I told Ray exactly what I'm about to tell you. Start small. At night, when you wash your face or brush your teeth, take a warm, soft washcloth, nothing rough, and a gentle soap, one that balances the pH of the skin. Glycerin-based or slightly acidic soaps are best. Lather gently and wash behind each ear with intention, right in that crease. Down along the neck, where the collar touches. Across the upper back of the neck, where sweat and oil pool quietly. You don't need to scrub hard, in fact, don't. Think of it less like scrubbing a floor and more like polishing an antique. Careful, respectful, attentive. I remember the look on Ray's face when he came back 3 weeks later. He walked in with his chest just a little more open, smiled as he sat down. "She kissed my neck again," he said, voice quiet but proud. Said I smelled like me again. That scent, that sense of self, it's more powerful than we give it credit for. It's tied to memory, to identity, to intimacy. When we start to lose it, even subtly, we feel it. And when we restore it, something shifts. We reclaim a little ground. So if this sounds familiar, if you've ever wondered or worried or sensed that something about your scent has changed, don't shrink away from it. Don't tell yourself it's just age. It's your body speaking to you. And like any good conversation, it starts with listening and then with care. Because the truth is, this isn't about just smelling better. It's about feeling closer to your own body, to those who love you, to the man you remember being and still are. And if you're still with me here, I want you to try something tonight. When you step into the shower, take those extra few seconds behind the ears, base of the skull, nape of the neck. Breathe in slowly. Let the warm water carry away the day. Let your hands become familiar with places you haven't paid attention to in years. This is more than hygiene. This is self-respect. This is quiet maintenance of the self, the kind you deserve. Now, in a moment, I'll tell you exactly what kind of soap makes the biggest difference and what else you can do to keep your skin chemistry balanced from the inside out. But first, let's look just a little deeper at how the skin changes as we age. Because once you understand that, everything else starts to make sense. As we grow older, the skin quietly becomes a record keeper of the sun we absorbed, the foods we chose, the stress we carried, and the years we weathered. It thins slowly like old parchment. The oils it once produced in abundance begin to shift in quality. Not just less oil, but a different kind. Richer in unsaturated fatty acids, more prone to oxidation. This is where that compound I mentioned earlier, 2-non-enol, enters the picture again. It's not harmful in itself, but it's persistent. And most soaps, especially the ones advertised with bright colors and artificial scents, just skim the surface. They remove dirt and dead skin, yes, but not this. What actually works is something far simpler, more old-fashioned. Mild pH-balanced soaps, especially those with slight acidity that can dissolve oxidized oils gently. Glycerin-based soaps are excellent, as are those infused with mild citric acid or natural cleansing agents like persimmon extract, which has shown promise in neutralizing 2-non-enol. You don't need fancy packaging or bold claims, just ingredients that work with your biology, not against it. But even with the right tools, the method matters. Many men I speak to, especially those over 60, have fallen into habits that haven't changed in decades. A quick rinse here, a hard scrub there, and out. Time has made the routine efficient, but sometimes efficiency isn't what the body needs. Sometimes it needs attention. That extra 10 seconds behind the ear, under the jawline, around the base of the skull, these are the quiet rituals that restore not just cleanliness, but connection. And the connection goes further still, because skin isn't just a surface, it's a reflection of what's happening inside. If your diet is heavy in processed foods, low in healthy fats, high in sugars or refined oils, the skin knows. It adapts, it copes, but it also signals. What we eat gets metabolized, broken down, filtered, and some of that processing ends up back in the skin, through the oil glands, through sweat, through the delicate chemical dance that keeps us balanced. That means the way we smell, especially as we age, is not just about soap. It's about what we feed our cells. Omega-3 fatty acids found in fatty fish, flaxseed, walnuts. These help create softer, healthier oils in the skin. Leafy greens, hydrating fruits, clean proteins. These support liver function, which in turn affects how efficiently we process metabolic waste. And hydration, I can't say it enough. So many older adults are subtly dehydrated. Not enough to feel dizzy, but enough that the skin becomes sluggish, less elastic, slower to renew. Then there's movement, circulation. The blood carries nutrients to the skin and removes waste. But if we're sitting most of the day, if our joints ache and our shoulders stay hunched, the flow slows down. Skin renewal slows with it. I often recommend something so simple it gets dismissed. Dry brushing once or twice a week. A soft bristled brush, gentle strokes toward the heart, no pressure, just motion. It helps stimulate the lymph system, exfoliates gently, and gives the skin a reason to wake up. And maybe more importantly, it reconnects you to your own body. That's something I've noticed over the years, how easy it is, especially for men, to become distant from their physical self. We start to treat the body like a machine, parts that need fixing, joints that grind, a stomach that grumbles. But the body isn't a machine. It's a living, sensing, responsive being. And the skin, more than any other part, reminds us of that. It reacts, it speaks, sometimes through discomfort, sometimes through scent. When Ray began making these small changes, switching to a mild persimmon soap, taking an extra minute to gently wash behind his ears each night, adding more water and greens to his meals, he didn't just notice a difference in how he smelled. He noticed it in how he felt. I don't know what it is, he told me during our third visit, but I feel more myself, like I've come back into my body. That's the deeper truth here. This video might have caught your attention because of something small, a scent, a curiosity, a discomfort. But I hope you're hearing what I'm really saying. You are not fading. You are evolving. The body you have now isn't less than the one you had at 30. It's wiser. It just asks for a different kind of care, a slower kind, a more conscious kind. There's nothing weak about aging. In fact, the men who choose to stay curious about their changing bodies are some of the strongest I know. They're not chasing youth, they're nurturing vitality. There's a difference. Youth is about appearance, vitality is about presence, strength, energy, self-respect. You may have noticed it's not just the odor that creates distance, it's the shame that follows it. That quiet question in the back of the mind. Am I still desirable? Do I still belong in this skin? Let me be clear. You do. And you are. And the people who love you most want you to feel that, not just hear it. That's why this matters. That's why we take the time to learn about a small molecule like 2-nonenal. Because it isn't about the molecule, it's about the man behind it. You are not invisible, and you are not alone. These small changes, washing with intention, feeding your skin from within, paying attention to the places you used to overlook, they send a message, not just to your body, but to your mind. They say, I still matter. I still care. I am still here. Now, if you've been listening closely, you may already be forming a picture of what your new evening routine could look like. Maybe it starts with running warm water, letting the steam rise, a soft cloth, a quiet moment at the sink. No rush, just a gentle press behind the ear. The kind of movement that says, this is my time. Maybe you follow it with a few deep breaths. Maybe it becomes your ritual, the way you wind down the day, not because you're trying to fix something broken, but because you're honoring something precious. Or maybe it starts even simpler. A single glass of water, a handful of almonds instead of a bag of chips, a slow stretch before bed. These changes don't have to be dramatic. They just have to be yours. That's where the real strength lies. Not in intensity, but in consistency, in showing up for yourself even in quiet, unglamorous ways. And if something in this resonated with you, if you felt yourself nodding or remembering your own version of Ray's story, then maybe tonight is the night you begin. You don't need a special soap or a list of products. You just need your hands, some warm water, and a willingness to turn toward the parts of yourself that have been waiting patiently for your attention. I've spent decades listening to men speak not just about health, but about the deeper things they don't always share easily. Fear of fading, longing for connection, frustration at being dismissed. And what I've learned is this: the more we honor the body, the more space we create for healing. Not just physical healing, but emotional grounding, the kind that helps us sleep easier, breathe deeper, and walk taller in our own skin. So tonight, I invite you to do something small. Wash that one forgotten spot, behind the ear, base of the neck, with kindness, not haste. And as you do, remember this isn't about getting rid of something unwanted. It's about reclaiming something essential: your presence, your dignity, your place in the world, exactly as you are, right now. If this spoke to you, I'd be honored if you stayed with me for future conversations like this. No hype, no gimmicks, just grounded human guidance from someone who sees you. Because we're all walking this path together, one quiet habit at a time. This is Dr. Michael Hanks. Be well, take your time, and never underestimate the power of a small, deliberate act of care. It might just change how you feel when someone leans in close and how you feel about yourself when you look in the mirror.